Hey guys, what's going on? So welcome back to my channel, and I'm very excited because I have not done a plant post in a long time, and this time I want to share with you guys my houseplant care tips with a few of my plants that I do have. And the reason for that is because even though I've read a lot about care tips for the plants I do have and watch a lot of other YouTubers give me some tips, I do find that sometimes you don't really know until you go through the experience of how that's gonna play out. And although I've had a lot of success with most of my plants, I have had some trouble with a couple of them, and I do want to share with you guys those experiences so that way you guys can avoid those issues as well. And to be honest, I actually got some tips from you guys by commenting below on my Alocasia that was losing a lot of leaves, and I'll give you guys an update on how that one is doing. But here are my care tips for 3 of my plants that I'm gonna pick from my collection. I'll start with one of my favorites and my most recent plant I got, which is the Pilea. Ta-da! So if you guys recall, and I'm gonna post a video of that plant haul that I did a couple months ago, which included the Pilea. She was pretty small when I got her. You know, she was probably maybe half the size or 2/3 of the size right now. And since I got her, she is thriving really well. Look at the leaves on the top. Those are all brand new since I got her, and she is growing strong and, you know, pretty straight up. And the reason for that is because I actually you know, don't put this into direct sunlight. It's one of my probably one of my main tip when it comes to this particular plant. Even though she likes sunlight, I don't recommend you put her in direct sunlight just to avoid potentially burning the leaves. So I do put her about 4 feet away from the window, so she still gets a lot of light. And here's a footage of where she sits in my home. And you can see she still gets a lot of sunlight, but away from the direct sunlight. And because I do have a south-facing window, but even if you have an east or west, I don't recommend putting her in direct sunlight. Again, she loves light, so she'll follow the light naturally. And what I do is I actually rotate her every other day, because after a day, I can see her leaning one way towards the sun already. So I rotate her every other day just to make sure that she grows straight. So yeah, I mean, she is looking really good, and that's my recommendation when it comes to the lighting. When it comes to the watering, I would suggest I water this girl every week. And you know, I always check the soil just to make sure it is not damp before I water her again, because I don't recommend keeping her soil damp. Or and I think I read that you should keep it moderately moist, but I actually don't want to keep her soil moist, because I just want to avoid potentially you know, having the roots rot. And I think she's actually growing little ones. I don't know, can you guys see that in the corner? See if you'll focus. Are those little Pileas? I'm not sure, but that's how they propagate, is they're gonna grow baby ones. So hopefully this one will grow one soon. But yeah, watering once a week, and I just make sure the water drains through the pot. And yeah, I mean, that's it, simple when it comes to watering. Soil and soil in the pot, I actually kept her in the original nursery pot that has the drainage. Always make sure your plants are in have good drainage. I think it's just one of those care tips that are quite you know, obvious and simple, but people tend to forget because, you know, they want to put it in these nice pots that actually don't have any drainage holes. But you can find one that fits perfectly, like this one I found, which is really good. And the soil, just, you know, natural, I guess, house mix potting soil, and nothing special. I do like to mix a bit of cacti soil into them, because just to add a bit more drainage. Again, I think that's what makes a lot of my plants work really well, is a good drainage type of soil in a drainage pot, and a lot of, you know, light that's not direct sunlight. So that's kind of my care tips for the Pilea. And I think what I'm gonna do with this girl soon, you know, it is now almost end of February, it's gonna be March, is I am going to repot her into a bigger drainage pot so I can promote more growth. But they typically like small pots and they can grow and thrive really well, like this one. So I'm not going to rush it because again, I've had success so far in the last couple months with her, and yeah, I'm excited to see where she goes in the next couple months. The next plant I'm going to talk about and give you care tips for is my Monstera Deliciosa. If you guys recall, that was my first plant video I've done, and I was very excited about finding this guy at Walmart. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I'll post a link at the corner or below, but here we go. Ta-da! Look how big this guy got. And you can see in my previous video when I first got him how small he was. I mean, he was still pretty large. He was, you know, he was already like, had a lot of split leaves, but this guy grew like a beast. And I am so happy about how this guy looks. So pretty much when it comes to the light, okay, this is where I've learned a few things about this Monstera Deliciosa. Let me put it down right here. When it comes to the lighting of that plant, definitely likes a lot of light, but do not put him in direct sunlight because you will cause him some sunburn, like what happened to mine. You can see right now. I'm sure. Here it is. It's I was very disappointed that their leaves burn when you put them in direct sunlight. I think what had happened was there was about 2 or 3 days of just bright sunlight here in the city, and that usually doesn't happen during the winter time. But I noticed that he got a sunburn and his leaves were severely burnt, and I actually had to cut off a couple of them because they were just fully burned. The ones you see right now is I have saved. I'll just trim off the burnt leaves, but I was so sad when that happened, and immediately I moved him away from the window. Thankfully, I have him on this stand that actually can roll. So what happens is, I move him away, which you guys see, he's right here right now, about maybe 10 feet away from the window. Still gets a lot of natural light, sometimes on the weekends when it is cloudy, especially during the winter time when it's like, you know, days and days of cloud, I will move him closer to the window just to get more sunlight. But I'm very conscious of making sure not leaving him in direct sunlight for hours on. And the one, actually my baby one that I got also around the same time, is actually thriving, and you can see right here, he's upstairs in my bedroom, and I moved him about maybe 10 to 12 feet away from the window, and he just sits on the stand and he's looking well. So when it comes to the Monstera Deliciosa, they grow really fast. They love a lot of light, but don't put them in direct sunlight or their leaves will burn. And if you are gonna put them closer to the window, just make sure you have shades just to filter the light. But yeah, when it comes to watering, I water the guy at least once a week. Again, because he's in his nursery part that has drainage, I just water a whole bunch of water, like maybe a full can, to just let it drain out. And yeah, I do that once a week. Similar to the Pilea, I'll touch the top of the soil just to make sure it's dry out. I prefer to dry that soil out before I water him, just again because I think they can stand being a little bit more on the dry side than more on the moist side. And you know, having your soil moist all the time, it creates those gnats or those bugs and flies, and just is not good for your plants anyway. So when it comes to watering, I do that. Soil, again, potting mix as well as the cacti soil just to add drainage. I've actually just kept him in the original soil since I got him at the store. I am going to repot him soon, and I'm going to put him in a bigger pot to obviously encourage a bit more growth. And I think I'm gonna put a moss stick up so he can grow up instead of out, which I think would look really cool. So that's the care tips for Monstera. I'm now going to give you guys care tips on my Alocasia Lauterbachiana. So it is a form of, it is from the same family of Alocasia or Colocasia, but this one was a beauty. He's still a beauty, and I'm gonna show you guys in a minute how he looks now. But again, check the video out where I did a plant haul of the Monstera and the Alocasia, and you guys can see how beautiful this plant I got a while back. And pretty much this plant lost a lot of leaves, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. But it got so bad to a point where each of the bud only had one leaf left, and it was on the verge of pretty much dying, so I had to make a big difference. And what I did was I actually had to move him closer to the light, and this time directly in front of the window, because I originally had him on that side of the room, which was still about 10 feet away from the window, but it just wasn't getting enough light, and that's what was causing the leaves to drop. And I actually learned that from one of you guys, one of the viewers, who you know, suggested that that tip for me, to move him closer to the light to make sure he gets what he needs to be able to continue to thrive. So thank you for that, and I really appreciate it. But here you go, I'll let you guys check this guy out. Here he is. So if you guys recall, this guy had all these leaves. Let's see these big ones, maybe 6 in each of the buds. You can see these are the last 3 that got left from the 3 buds that I got. And so this thing looked beautiful. It was circular, and these are also known as the purple sword because of the purple backing. But it was really dying on me, and I was so sad about it. So when I finally decided to move it closer to the window, it started to sprout out some new leaves, and here are the baby ones. And you can see he's getting what he needs now to be able to thrive fully again. And there's more new ones right there. So I am very thankful and grateful for that tip, because this is one of my favorite alocasias, and when he's full, it looks amazing. And you can check the link in the video of that plant haul, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so when it comes to sunlight, these types of plants, the alocasia, along with my elephant ear as well, I move them directly in front of the window and get as much light as possible because they need them. So that definitely was a learning experience for me, and I'm so thankful I was able to save this guy, because this was a very difficult plant to find. You can typically find the elephant ear, the giant elephant ears, but this Lauterback alocasia is very rare to find, especially in the city here. So yeah, so when it comes to watering that guy, you know, I water him again once a week, making sure that the soil is dry before I do water him, and I try not to keep it in moderately moist, even though they recommend it. Again, because of all those gnats that comes out, I just don't want to risk having this guy roots rot, considering he's still trying to survive, right? So yeah, when it comes to the soil, again, I'm actually going to repot him this weekend or this week, because I do want to move him more into change the soil to have a much more mix of the drainage soil, just to again avoid the roots from rotting. So those are my, I guess, houseplant care tips for those 3 types of plants. I mean, I have a whole bunch more, but I'm not going to go through them, because I don't think you guys can sit me talking about and care tips of all my other, how many plants do I have now? I think maybe 20. I'm actually going to do a content on maybe another update on plants here, because I did pick up a few. But yeah, let me know what your houseplant care tips are for the plants that I just showed you. Maybe you have different tricks and different experiences than what I've had. Comment below, let me know, and let's share on a lot of these tips, because a lot of them, honestly, I get from you guys. So I'm very thankful for them. I'm not a plant expert. I just enjoy having them and going through the experience of taking care of them and learning. So yeah, if you guys want to know more or want to check out some more plants, also let me know, and maybe I'll do a part 2 of this houseplant care tips. See, I see a little gnat flying around, which is very troubling and bothering me so much. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys soon, and take care. Peace.